also. So we will continue with the remaining topics. So next topic, magnetic dipole moment of revolving electron. Dipole moment this topic, magnetic dipole moment of revolving electron. Let us consider an electron of charge E revolving on the circumference of a circle of radius R and it crosses a point P. So distance traveled by the electron for each revolution, distance traveled by an electron to cross the P, that means for each revolution it will be equal to circumference of the circle, that will be equal to 2 pi r. Okay, next frequency. Frequency of electron. Frequency should be denoted with mu. Frequency mu is equal to here velocity by distance v by 2 pi r, where v is the velocity of the electron, r is the radius of the circle. Next step, next current produced by this revolving electron should be denoted with I. We know that I is equal to q by t, charge by time. So reciprocal of time is nothing but frequency. That means it becomes q into frequency. That means charge into frequency. Let us say charge of electron should be denoted with E. That means E frequency value V by 2 pi R. That means therefore current I is equal to EV by 2 pi R. EV by 2 pi R. Then fourth step, magnetic dipole moment. Should be denoted with capital M. Formula for capital M is IA. I we are calculated. What is I value? EV by 2 pi R. EV by 2 pi R. But area of cross section, so cylindrical cross section, it will be pi r square. R will be cancelled, pi will be cancelled. Then magnetic dipole will be EVR by 2. Here, where E is the charge of an electron, V is the velocity of the revolving electron, R is the radius of the circular orbit. E is the charge of electron, V is the velocity of the electron, R is the radius of the circular orbit. Once again, when electron revolves around this orbit, so radius of the orbit will be R, charge of an electron E, velocity of the electron should be denoted with V, frequency should be denoted with mu. For each revolution, for complete one revolution or crosses a point P, the distance traveled by an electron should be equal to circumference of the circle. That means that will be equal to 2 pi r. Next, frequency of electron should be denoted with mu. Generally, mu is nothing indicated with frequency. It is nothing but velocity by distance traveled by the electron. Velocity V, distance traveled by the electron will be equal to 2 pi r. So current produced by this revolving electron, I is equal to charge by time. So reciprocal of time is nothing but frequency. Charge into frequency. So charge should into frequency. Charge should be denoted with E. Frequency should be equal to V by 2 pi r. Therefore, current produced by the revolving electron will be equal to EV by 2 by R. Finally, what do we have to find out from the question? That is, there they are asking how to find the magnetic dipole moment. So, magnetic dipole moment M is equal to IA. I value we are calculated here. EV by 2 pi R. Area of cross section pi R square. So, after cancelling all of them, then we get finally M is equal to EVR by 2, where M is magnetic dipole moment, E is charge of electron, V is velocity of the revolving electron, R is radius of the orbit, and the capital M is the magnetic dipole moment. So this is about magnetic dipole moment of revolving electron. Next topic, cyclotron, and what are the important parts of the cyclotron and its uses. What are the uses of cyclotron? Okay, so how the figure will be? So cyclotron, uses. So cyclotron will be like this. Two magnets N and S, in between them there will be two hollow chambers. So mainly it consists of, cyclotron consists so 1, 2 metallic hollow chambers, D1 and D2, high frequency oscillator, strong magnetic field, vacuum chamber. So totally 4 important parts it consists: 2 hollow metallic chambers D1 and D2, high frequency oscillator, strong magnetic field, and a vacuum chamber. So what is the definition for this cyclotron? Cyclotron actually it is a device used to accelerate the positively charged particles like protons, neutrons, alpha particles. Okay, so it consists mainly 2 hollow chambers D1 and D2, high frequency oscillator, strong magnetic field, and a vacuum chamber. What are the uses of this cyclotron? Because in the question they are asking about mention the uses of cyclotron. Cyclotron mainly used for nuclear reactions, checking the nuclear reactions, rate of nuclear reactions, and also improving quality of solids by adding ions, and also they are mainly used to produce some radioactive substances which are used for medical diagnosis or treatment of chronic diseases like cancer. These are the main important uses of this cyclotron. Once again, to improve quality of solids by adding ions, and also to check the rate of nuclear reactions, by bombarded the neutrons with atoms, in which that how the reaction will be goes on will be check up. Next, it produces radioactive materials, so those are used for medical diagnosis and also medical treatment, so of chronic diseases like cancer. So what is the definition for the cyclotron? So definition, it is a device used to accelerate the positively charged particles like protons, alpha particles and neutrons, etc. So what are it main important parts? It consists two hollow metallic chambers D1 and D2, high frequency oscillator, strong magnetic fields, so vacuum chamber. What are the uses or mention its uses? What is the first use? To improve the quality of solids by adding ions, to read the nuclear reactions, and to produce nuclear materials or radioactive materials which are used for medical diagnosis or medical treatment of chronic diseases like cancer. So this is about the cyclotron and its moving coil galvanometer. Generally, galvanometer is generally used to measure small amounts of current produced in the circuit. So okay, here moving coil galvanometer, how it construction and the principle and formula. So we have to derive now. So first of all, diagram. Moving coil galvanometer consists a phosphorus bronze wire provided with a mirror. M indicates mirror. So this consists a coil like this, a rectangular coil. Inside there will be soft iron cylinder without touching the coil. So okay, bottom of this will be connected to a spring, to a fixed end like this. This coil will be surrounded with two concave shaped magnets, N and S. They provide a radial magnetic field. This is phosphorus bronze wire. The whole setup will be kept inside the brass case with provided with a glass window. So this is actually this is a spring. Here, what is the main principle of moving coil galvanometer? Moving coil galvanometer, the working principle is when current carrying coil is kept between the magnetic field, it provides or it produces torque or it experiences a torque. When current carrying coil is placed in the radial magnetic field, it experiences a torque. That is the working principle of moving coil galvanometer. Once again we have to study about the construction of the moving coil galvanometer. It consists a phosphorus bronze wire provided with a mirror. So it's a mirror arrangement for taking the readings. Okay, this phosphorus bronze wire consists a coil, a rectangular coil. Bottom of this coil connected to a spring. In the middle of this coil, keep a small soft iron cylinder without touching the coil to provide more magnetic field strength. Okay, so this coil is between the two concave shaped magnets N and S. Okay, when current will be passes current I. So here the important terminology we have to have: current I, magnetic field induction B, deflection. Deflection will be theta. So okay, area of the coil should be denoted with A, number of turns should be denoted with N. So deflecting torque will be tau. It will be equal to BIAN. That means it depends upon magnetic field induction, strength of current, area of the coil, and number of turns in the coil. So tau is equal to BIAN. and this will be deflecting torque. So due to this restoring torque will be developed in the phosphorus sponge wire. Restoring torque will be equal to C theta. At equilibrium position, deflecting torque will be equal to restoring torque. That means BIAN will be equal to C theta. Therefore, current I is equal to C theta by BAN. Okay, here C by BAN should be written as K. K is called galvanometer constant. If you remove the K, I directly proportional to theta. That means if current flow increases in the coil, deflection will be increases. This deflection will be measured with the help of lamp and scale arrangement. I directly proportional to theta. That means if current increases, so deflection in the galvanometer will also increases. I directly proportional to theta. So in the 2 marks question, they may ask about what is the principle, what is the working principle of moving coil galvanometer. It's very, very important for 2 marks. When current coil is placed between the two magnetic poles, so it experiences a torque. That is the working principle. Generally, moving coil galvanometer should be used to measure small amounts of currents produced whether in circuit or in induction process. So induction, we have to, in previous class we have to studied about self-induction, mutual induction, that means Faraday's laws of induction. In such a cases also we have to use the galvanometer to measuring the small amounts of current. So what are the important parts in this galvanometer? Phosphorus sponge wire consists a mirror, so and a rectangular coil inside with a soft iron cylinder. So bottom of this will be connected to spring. So it will be surrounded, this soft iron coil and this rectangular coil will be surrounded with magnetic, strong magnetic field, provide radial magnetic field. So okay, this is the main construction and main parts of this moving coil galvanometer. So what are the important terms we have to read? I is the flow of current, B is magnetic field induction, theta is deflection, A is area of coil, N is the number of turns in the coil. Deflecting torque tau is equal to BIAN. Depends upon magnetic field induction, strength of current, area of the coil and number of turns in the coil. So restoring torque produced in the phosphorus sponge wire will be equal to C theta. So okay, so here be at equilibrium position of the coil. So deflecting torque will be equal to restoring torque. BIAN equal to C theta. I equal to C theta by BIN. So C by BN should be equal to K. That is called galvanometer constant. Therefore, I directly I is equal to K theta or I directly proportional to theta. That means if a flow of current will be increases, so here in the coil, that means the deflection will be also increases. This deflection of the galvanometer will be measured with the lamp and scale arrangement. To discuss about differences between ammeter and voltmeter. What are the main differences between ammeter and voltmeter? Suppose this is a circuit. It consists ammeter, a resistor, and a variable resistance or rheostat, a battery provided with a key. So here this will be voltmeter. So what are the main differences between ammeter and voltmeter? Ammeter should be always connected in series in the circuit. Voltmeter will be connected parallel but parallel to the load. So okay, that is the first main difference. Ammeter will be connected in series, voltmeter will be connected in parallel to the load or a resistor, whatever it be. So ammeter mainly uses it to measure current in the circuit, should be denoted with I. The units of I should be equal to ampere. And voltmeter is used to measure potential difference between its ends. So the units of potential difference will be in volts. Okay. So ideal ammeter, that means 100% efficient ammeter. So its resistance will be equal to 0. but ideal voltmeter resistance will be equal to infinity. So this is the simple circuit how we are connected ammeter and voltmeter in the circuit. So okay, suppose if you adjust the rheostat for ammeter, current will be increases to 1 amp. So from this also we can same circuit we can use it to measure. So we can use it to prove the Ohm's law also. So adjust the rheostat to read ammeter should be current will be 1 amp until we should have to adjust the rheostat. And note down the corresponding voltmeter reading. You have studied in the 10th class also. So these values are kept inside the record the values and noted in the tabular column. So the tabular column will be like this. This will be serial number. So ammeter reading should be denoted with I. It will be in amps. So voltmeter reading, it will be in volts. So resistance R is equal to V by I. Suppose in first case ammeter reading should be 1 amp. Corresponding voltmeter reading should be equal to 2 volts. Then R value will be equal to 2 by 1. It will be equal to 2. Suppose if you further increases the ammeter reading by adjusting the rheostat, it will be 2. So at the same time, the corresponding voltmeter reading should be equal to 4. Therefore, R is equal to 4 by 2. That is equal to also 2. So third case, if you further increases the ammeter reading by adjusting the rheostat, it will be 3 amp. Suppose it will be 6 volt. R is equal to 6 by 3. Again it will be 2. So 2 ohms, 2 ohms, 2 ohms. That means the resistance will be same. That means if you increasing the current by changing the rheostat, the corresponding voltmeter reading also increases. This proves the Ohm's law.